Calling in Brother Bernhard, Veils of Reality. Guten Tag. You seem like an awesome dude. I think you're really smart. And I just wanted to speak to your latest video where you speak about the Palestine-Israel conflict and where you stand on that. So I just want to have this discussion and unpack a couple of the concepts that you set out in your video. And I recommend everyone goes to watch the video if you really want like a juicier context for this, because I can just refer to some of the ideas. So one of the things you said is that you don't want to take part in speaking. You were very vocal about Zionism when you were younger and about Palestine needing to be liberated. And you identified that when you were younger, you externalized a lot of your own inner unresolved trauma or shadow work. You were externalizing with your activism. So you make a great point where you're saying, look, a lot of activism comes from a place of having to externalize our own pain and our own inability to sit with ourselves and deal with our stuff, right? So while I say yes, this is true and is true for many people as it was for you, can you acknowledge that some people can do activism from a place of an integrated self, like myself, right? Not saying I'm perfect, but can you see that activism can also exist in a space where people are not externalizing, but they are so integrated in their own shadow and their own being and so sovereign in their own connected self that they are able to speak up on behalf of the collective and behalf of genocided and colonized people like the Palestinians? Can you identify that not all people that are in the space of activism are externalizing their trauma? That's my first question. The second thing concept you put across is that Israel and Palestine is an external apparition or external conflict that is reflecting an internal conflict within, right? In the hearts of all humans. And I agree with you. Israel and Palestine is us. It's a reflection of us not facing our own darkness, not integrating our own gnarly parts, our own predators within. Yes, this is true. But can you admit that it is also true that it is not just a reflection of the inner world, but it is actually a real reality? And that it doesn't serve us to just do the inner work, because that's just as above. But what about so below? That we can do the inner work and integrate our shadows and come face to face with our own predator and darkness within, but we can also speak to the outer external problem. Can you see that? I'm a South African, right? And I know for many years, having studied apartheid here, that the comrades were trying for decades to get the world to understand what was happening to us here in South Africa, that we were under an apartheid regime. And it took decades of work and vocalizing and grassroots activism and true activism to get people across the world to start speaking up on behalf of South Africa, which is what eventually led to the overthrow of apartheid. So can you see that it is actually quite vital for us to also partake in the realm of reality, actual material reality, that it's yin and yang, that we are called to focus on our consciousness and our inner being, but we are also called to take action in the outer world. That if we can't just do the inner work and say we've got nothing to do with the outer world. And I understand that if you did activism before when you were younger and it came from an externalized, traumatized place, that maybe you don't know how to speak to something again because you've got that old wounding. And I see as well that you've quoted Sri Aurobindo on your page, right? And Sri Aurobindo, Swamiji, I lived in Oroville for 4 years. So Sri Aurobindo, Miral Fasa the Mother are some of my teachers. So in his life, he was a very hardcore activist and freedom fighter in the colonization of India. He got arrested, right? So he gave all of himself, like you, it sounds. He really went for it. And then he came into the yogic life of contemplation, right? So the quote you've given is coming from that context. It's your context as well, it seems. But are you able to be so yogically connected to yourself that you can partake in the external realm and speak honestly in the external realm and not have it overtake you and have yourself be imprisoned and make it your whole life and externalize your pain? Do you know that there is a way to be an activist and not externalize pain? And also, I do want to say that Sri Aurobindo was arrested by the Hindutva, and the Hindutva are the right-wing Hindu nationalists currently in India at the moment, which is what Prime Minister Modi comes from, right? He is steeped in right-wing Hindutva. So you speak about there's this radicalized Islam in India at the moment, but you are receiving that information from Zionist media, because as somebody who lived in India for 4 years, freedom of speech is off the table. Journalists, artists, and activists are in prison. You cannot say anything against Modi's government. Modi and the BJP was steeped in RSS, which is right-wing Hindutva. Modi was the minister in Gujarat in the early 2000s. He oversaw the genocide of 2,000 Muslims and then was later elevated to the highest seat in office. So there is a campaign of Islamophobia going on in India. You might not know this, but they have also occupied Kashmir, and all the weapons that they have for that occupation are provided by Zionist Israel. So you don't have the full context for this information you're receiving about radical Islam in India. What's happening is mobs of people are being radicalized by right-wing Hindutva, Hindu nationalism, and they are attacking Muslims, mosques, the women, raping people. And then whenever this happens, and the community, not just Muslims, but the community is like looks to the government to help, Modi just says, oh, it was a mob, there's nothing he can do about it. And he's actually encouraging mob behavior against Muslims because there is a Zionist infiltration happening in India at the moment. Okay, so just so you have the context for what that is. The other thing I want to speak about is that you say that you make this connection between wokeism, Palestine being part of the woke army, or that liberal left cultural Marxist radicalized woke thing, right? And I want to tell you why it's not, and the difference. I'm trying to explain to you that not all activism is part of this woke army. A lot of people in the West, and it seems like yourself, you think in these very specific constructs, and these constructs have been given to you by the liberal Zionist media. So they make your brain believe that any form of activism belongs to the woke army and I want nothing to do with it, right? But this is how you know the difference. So when COVID happened, right, I didn't take the vaccination, but the liberal left Zionist cultural Marxist media was pushing that on everyone, right? Pushing, take the vaccination, you're callous if you don't take the vaccination. Then I had some friends of mine telling me I was callous. But I saw the media say people who aren't taking it are callous, and then I saw that word come out of my friend's mouth. So people were being indoctrinated by the woke army, liberal left media machine, right? During the COVID pandemic. And those of us who were speaking out against it, like myself, were getting shadow banned and censored, right? So the people speaking out against COVID were not part of the woke, liberal, cultural Marxist army. We were actually genuinely awake. That was genuine grassroots activism, right? There's a difference between woke, programmed activism and genuine activism. So what we were doing there was genuine, right? And you know this because the left media was telling us to do the opposite and we were being censored. The same thing with the black square, right? You mentioned the black square in your video. Of course, BLM was co-opted by the liberal Zionists, right? And everybody was kind of guilted into posting that black square by the woke liberal media. Again, the cultural Marxist Zionist, which is run by Zios, by the way, cultural Marxism. Communism is a Zionist Jewish ideology, and the Bolshevik Revolution was funded by Zionist Jews. So it's the other wing. There's imperialism and there's communism. And in the middle head of both of those things is Zionist Jews. Not all Jews. I'm Jewish on my mom's side, but Zionist ones, for sure. Okay, so back to my point. The point is that the black square was a form of woke army liberalism, right? Because everyone was just doing it because they were guilted to do it. Just like the liberal army, woke army was like just forcing and telling everyone we were callous for not taking the vaccination. That is the woke army. Now, when we look at Palestine, Well, the liberal left media is not telling us to speak up about Palestine, just like it was not telling us to speak up against COVID and the vaccine mandates, right? So that's how you know. First of all, the liberal left media is not for all of us who are speaking about Palestine, Congo, Sudan, and the other places being genocided under settler colonialism right now. So that's how you can, first of all, tell the difference between what is true activism, grassroots movement, and what is woke liberal army activism. So I want to challenge you on that, because the Palestine wave, I started talking about it and I was scared. Nobody was doing it. The media wasn't telling me to do it. I got censored. I got shadow banned. I had my life threatened by Zionists. And yeah, it's taken off. And there's a big wave of people speaking about it. And just because it's a global move doesn't mean it's the woke army. It's actually a genuine grassroots movement that has has gained traction. Just like the world gained traction about the apartheid in South Africa. Right? So this is a genuine form of activism. It's not part of the woke army, and you can't just associate all activism with the woke, liberal, left media, cultural Marxist agenda. You can't put all activism in that box. Otherwise, then that means that there's no space for genuine activism, and you're not able to look at the world through a nuanced space. You're using very black and white constructs, and you're just saying, well, all activism belongs there, and that's not true. Because actual, genuine grassroots activism is real. It's not always a liberal woke agenda, right? And that's what the cultural Marxist thing has done to people's minds. It's made us think in these black and white blocks where we're unable to see the wood for the trees and go, okay, wait, is this part of the woke army? Is the liberal media pushing it? Okay, that's woke army. Wait, is this part of the woke army? Is the liberal media pushing it? No, they're actually censoring it. Oh my gosh, this is actually like a grassroots, real movement coming from people's genuine hearts. Okay, this is real activism. So we need to actually start moving in a much more nuanced space, because activism is real. And real activism comes and can come from a place of being genuinely in your embodiment as well. I'm a yogi, I'm a hermit, I'm a nun, dude, I'm a bodhisattva. I spend my life is devoted to being at peace. But that doesn't mean that I can't speak up for actual, genuine problems in the world today. And it's because I'm at peace and I do my inner work that I can come and speak confidently to you and other people and challenge people on the way they're seeing and thinking about things. So I just wanted to say that. And I think you're brilliant as well. And once again, you don't have to listen to anything I'm saying, but I just think that there's space for nuance here and not to see things in these big constructs, because those constructs have been given to you by the woke machine, right? So peace and love to you, bro. And I hope there's a way you can find your way back into a genuine space of what you want to affect on the real earth, the real world in front of me, the real earth. It's not all inner work. It's inner work and acting to the outer world. We are here to act and shift the world. The world is changing because everybody opened their mouths about Palestine. It's amazing. I'm so proud of all of us, because the media wasn't for us. We're actually being censored for it. Just like I'm so proud of everyone who spoke up against the vaccines. That was really tough to do. So anyway, sending love, and yeah. Aho.